Welcome back. This is the MJ Show. I'm here with the co-creator of Sherlock, one of my favorite shows on television. I think it's a show that you must own on DVD, Blu-ray. Check this out. This is my own collection. I have it on Blu-ray. And I'm going to give you guys a chance to win a DVD, as I always do. Lots of contests happening on Twitter. I'll tell you about that in a little while, because there is a lot more talk right now with the man who has co-created this show. So let's talk a little bit more about Sherlock. We spoke about Benedict Cumberbatch. What about Martin Freeman? Tell me a little bit about working with him.
Oh well, Martin is probably one of the funniest men I've ever known, really. And he's a very angry man, which is kind of part of his charm. he's so angry, he always makes me laugh because of it. But he's got a really brilliant sort of dry sense of humour. He's a brilliant mimic, as is Benedict actually, and you know, the fact that they're so totally different people is kind of what creates the spark in the show, I think, really. But I think, you know, I really mean this. He's the kind of beating heart of the show, because we from the very beginning we considered it's a co-lead. It's not Sherlock and his sidekick. It's the two of them, and Martin represents the kind of the heart of the show. He's our eyes and ears, just as Dr. Watson is in the original stories. Twice in the original stories, Sherlock actually writes the story himself, and it's not the same. Because you need some distance, because otherwise he's rather insufferable. He's so arrogant and sort of opinionated and clever. And you need not just someone to be astonished, because you can't keep doing that. But also just a filter, really, a human filter for it all. And Martin just does that so brilliantly. But what we've tried very hard to do is to make sure that there is a lot of backstory and a lot of ongoing character development. You know, you can't keep having Dr. Watson going, "My God, how do you do that?" Because he'd look stupid, because he knows how he does it. It's never less than astonishing. But you have to, you know, he gets occasionally rather annoyed about it, or he sort of tries to prick Sherlock's pomposity and also to round him off, to make him more human. You know, we've always said they both kind of meet each other exactly the right point in their lives. Sherlock is a borderline psychopath, and Dr. Watson is a war-damaged, you know, traumatized soldier. When they meet, they kind of form a unit, and then they kind of complete each other.
Lovely. A thing I love about the show is how Sherlock's thoughts are shown on screen. Is that something that came out of maybe either of your love for comic books?
No, it came out. The original director, Paul McGuigan, who's a genius director. He had this idea. He hated the idea of having a cutaway to a phone with a text on it, and he just tried it in the edit with Charlie Phillips, the brilliant editor, and he just had it on the screen, and it was sort of revolutionary, really.
Yeah, I think people loved it.
It's everywhere now.
Yeah, you can hear his thoughts. I mean, you can see. It's
but
like
then we sort of we liked it so much we incorporated it into the deductions. And then it became a sort of trademark thing. And now it's everywhere. David Fincher explicitly said it's in House of Cards because of Sherlock. And in fact, later on in House of Cards, when another director takes over and you have a cutaway of a phone, it looks terribly old-fashioned. I thought, it's strange. And I was shooting something the other day, and we did a cutaway of a phone. I thought, I don't know if you can do that anymore. Although it now looks just like you're quoting Sherlock.
No, but I think it's one of those really cool things about Sherlock that fans have really, really loved as well. Let's talk a little bit about Doctor Who. Now, in India, Doctor Who hasn't been shown in a very big way, but you still, were you amazed by the number of Doctor Who fans? Because I saw a lot of fans here at Comic Con.
There are much more. I mean, hopefully it's about, you know, we're about to do it properly. It's going to be shown properly here at last. But it's obviously taken root over the years. There's lots of people who've watched it illegally, but also lots of people who've been buying the DVDs, and I was talking to some people today at the signing who've been watching for years. You know, they're really proper dyed-in-the-blood fans from way back. Someone came dressed as Tom Baker, although I think he's just watching it now. You know. But the fantastic thing is that the BBC is like a kind of gateway to so many of these shows, which people may have only heard about or know little about, but really there's a vast new world here of potential audience who are just really hungry to see it, and brilliantly, you know, the BBC is a kind of worldwide benchmark of quality. People know they trust it, and they know what they're getting. They know they're going to get great drama. So shows like Sherlock and Doctor Who can open up a whole world of others, like a back catalogue which goes on forever. Really.
Yeah, I mean, and Doctor Who's been on television in Britain for like
It's 51 years.
51 years, yeah.
Not constantly, but it's 51 years.
There was
ago,
a gap
yeah.
in between, but yeah, the new series started off in 2005.
2005,
right?
yes.
2005.
So it's an absolute British icon.
Yeah.
And you know, Matt Smith really broke it in America, and it's sprouting up all over the place, all over the world. It's thrilling, really.
And India being as big as it is, and the fan base for shows like Sherlock and Doctor Who, I mean, they can be humongous, and really big.
It's terrifying.
So it's great to see. It's great to hear that Doctor Who will also be released properly in India. I know a lot of you out there, hardcore fans of Doctor Who, who, like you said, either watched it illegally or bought DVDs from your uncles and aunts and brothers and sisters in the UK. Well, there you go. Happy news for all of you. We're going to see it right here in India. And when we get to know a little bit more, maybe you can tweet about it and let your Indian fans know.
Very happy to.
Speaking of Twitter, you are on Twitter as well, and very simply at Gatiss. By the way, for all of you out there who've been mispronouncing his name for years, that's how it's pronounced. I got that right?
Just think gay. I always do.
That's right, Gatiss on Twitter. I'm at Mihir Joshi Music on Twitter. We'll keep you informed about Doctor Who. We'll keep you informed about Sherlock. And not me, he will. But if I get some information, I'll let you know about that as well. All right. Now some other stuff, general, apart from apart from Sherlock and Doctor Who. You grew up reading a lot of comics, right?
No, I know nothing about comics.
Oh, okay.
I'm a total fraud. What we had is, when I was little, was there was a weird thing. This is quite strange. I don't know if it was like this anywhere else in the world, but in Britain there was a real tradition. Boys' comics were very much about the Second World War. We carried on fighting the war till the late 1970s. Comics. They were all about. There was a character called Captain Hurricane who was like a big marine, and it was all about the Nazis and the Japanese, and it was very, very war orientated. And I used to read all those. And then 2000 AD, and a comic called Action, which was very violent, was eventually banned for being too violent.
Oh wow, okay.
And I was aware of the occasional thing, the sort of manga things, but there wasn't a comic tradition the way there is now.
Okay.
And I just don't know anything about them.
Wow, I
Here I am, a
feel
comic
silly
con.
now.
No, I really don't know a lot about them.
Well, okay, maybe not comics, but there was a lot of. How did you get into it? Because you said, growing up,
there were superhero things.
Superhero things, yeah.
And I was, aware of those. I had a lot, Superman annuals and stuff like that. But I wasn't a comic collector in that way. I always liked them. I particularly liked Spider-Man and Superman, and then the movies, obviously. Yeah. The Christopher Reeve movie, the first one especially, is fantastic. It's a fantastic film, never bettered. Yeah. Lextown, Lutherville, Otisburg. Otisburg. It's just a small town, Mr. Luther. Otisburg. It's such a funny film. So I always loved superheroes, but I wasn't a sort of dedicated comics reader. It was more, my big roles were horror movies.
Horror movies, yeah.
And ghost, anything spooky, anything supernatural, anything.
That brings me to my next question. So, having worked with Sherlock and Doctor Who, is there a different character in your mind that you're wanting to bring onto the screen, that you're writing right now? Something in the horror space, supernatural space?
I wrote and directed a ghost story for BBC last Christmas by M.R. James. There used to be a tradition of having a ghost story at Christmas, and it was wonderful to do it. And unfortunately couldn't do one this year. I'm hoping to do one next year, but I love that. And everyone, when it gets to Christmas time, everyone knows there should be a ghost story. There isn't really a particular character I want to do. I've got something on the boil, which I'm not allowed to talk about. But it's I love, I guess it's nice to bring spooky aspects to things. There's a lot of horror in Sherlock Holmes. There always has been. In certain, Howard the Baskervilles is a kind of modern ghost story and stuff like that. So it's nice to sort of inflect things with that, with sort of spookiness. But I'd love to make a horror movie.
What are you working on right now? So speaking of,
I'm writing another Doctor Who.
Okay.
And we're starting work on the next 3 Sherlocks, really, obviously. And another thing which I can't talk about.
we don't have a lot of time left, but I have to ask him a couple of things. Firstly, how has India been for you? I mean, your fans here, people lining up to get autographs, taking part in competitions to, meet you and whatnot.
It's been genuinely wonderful. I've never been to India before. I sort of, when this came up, I thought this is a great way of sort of dipping my toe in the water, but I love it. I'd love to see more of Mumbai. It's an absolutely amazing place. I'd never seen such contrast and such kind of, it's mad and thrilling and funny, and the people are so sweet and kind. I've had a wonderful time. The only sadness is that I've mostly been inside here.
At Comic-Con.
I was hoping for a tan. I'm going to go home paler than I left.
No, but you should come back, because there is a lot
will.
of love for Sherlock, for you. I mean, you've seen that already.
Yeah.
And come and just enjoy the country, because there's a
to.
lot to see, a lot to eat. I'm not going to ask you standard questions. What's your favorite Indian food? Everybody asks that, and I'm sure it's something interesting. You can figure it out if he ever calls you to have dinner with him somewhere. But apart from that, I mean, is there a message that you want to give out to all of your hardcore fans, people who've not been to Mumbai? A lot of people. I put out a tweet yesterday saying that if you're not in Mumbai and if you want to ask a question to Mark Gatiss, send me a tweet. I got a lot of people writing back to me. One of the things was, why aren't you coming to Delhi? Why aren't you coming to Bangalore?
I went to Brazil earlier in the year for Sherlock and Doctor Who, and the one thing I was asked on Twitter more than anything is, why aren't you coming to Argentina? Why aren't you coming to Chile? Basically, I can't go everywhere. I'd love to, but I'd love to see more of India. So I thank you, everyone here, for making me so welcome. I've had a fantastic time. I'm definitely going to come back to India. I don't know where, I don't know when, but I'm definitely coming back. And I hope to have just as warm a welcome in the rest of the subcontinent.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant. You know what? I asked so many people for questions. I'm going to ask you one question from a fan. So out of all the questions that have come to us, one question gets asked. He is at night number 17 on Twitter, Srinath Saravan. Okay, so he says, Mr. Gatiss, tell us about working with Stephen Moffat. Between you two, who is Sherlock and who is Watson?
Someone asked me that the other day, and I decided I would duck the question by saying we're more like Mrs. Hudson and Molly Hooper. We're not really. We have in my head that the day that we thought of it, when we were in a train carriage, has now become like the Sidney Paget illustration of Sherlock and Dr. Watson sitting in a carriage. We've known each other 20 odd years. We sort of finish each other's sentences.
Oh wow.
He's like my other husband. I was misquoted the other day saying he was like my other wife. I don't have a wife, I have a husband. And we have such a good laugh doing it, and it is a passion project, And Stephen runs Doctor Who, and I'm privileged enough to write for Doctor Who, and it's a big collaborative, fun thing. But Sherlock particularly is, for a very brief bit of time, we've got the keys to Baker Street.
Yeah.
A lot of other people have, but our version is beloved, and it's an amazingly humbling thing. Yeah. And the best bit for us always is, and we've just had it again planning series 4, is to sit in a room and just think, right, what are we going to do next?
Wow.
And thinking about the original stories and thinking about where we've taken the characters already, where we might go, and we just get like overexcited children, really. So it's not bad for two middle-aged men.
Fabulous stuff, and I'm sure people are going to love season 4 just as much as they've loved season 1, 2, and 3.
So.
I'm going to give you guys a chance to win this. He signed it for one of you guys. You know how it works. I'm going to do contests on Twitter. Make sure you follow both of us at Mark Gatiss, at Mihir Joshi Music. If you're on YouTube watching us right now, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it, let everybody know about all of the things that are happening on the MJ show. That is all the time we have for now. We're going to have a lot of contests, but that's going to happen on Twitter. But for now, Mark Gatiss, thank you so much for being on the show with me.
Pleasure. Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure indeed. Mark Gatiss, Mihir Joshi saying goodbye. It has been an absolutely incredible day here at Comic-Con in Mumbai. I hope you enjoyed the little chat that I had with Mark Gatiss, co-creator of one of my favorite shows, Sherlock. And because it is New Year, I want to give all of you, the loyal fans, the viewers of the MJ show, a lot of fabulous goodies. You're going to get a chance to win all of these things in my Twitter contest. So follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @Mihir Joshi Music. And here is what I have for you in this episode. First up, because I love Sherlock, you get a chance to love Sherlock too. Not only do you get a chance to win this box set, of season 1, 2 and 3 of Sherlock, but a signed poster signed by Mark Gatiss himself. So that's one. I'm going to give you guys a chance now. I'm very happy that Sony DADC has been one of our partners for so long, and they said, you know what, you've got Sherlock, we've got to get something related to Sherlock in as a contest. So while you can win yourself the BBC Sherlock series, season 1, 2 and 3, you can also win yourself the 2-movie box set of Sherlock Holmes, which features Robert Downey Jr. as Sherlock Holmes. So this is what my friends from Sony DADC are giving you. And finally, from the good folks at WWE, they want to wish you a very, very happy new year, and they hope you've had a Merry Christmas. These 2 awesome posters that people who came to Comic Con got for free, but you guys who are not in Mumbai, I'm going to give you guys a chance to win these 2 posters. And you know what, I thought I'd throw in a Steve Austin DVD along with it. So there you go, lots of things to win this week on the Twitter contest that I'm going to have. Follow me and figure out how you can win all of these things. Have an absolutely incredible year ahead. We've got lots of great things planned for the MJ show. So subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment here, share it with all of your friends, and keep your love for the MJ show going strong. Take care, and I'll see you very soon.